Born in Palestine in 1926, John Kingsley-Heath is one of the last people who actually got to experience Africa in its golden age of an uncharted wilderness. He unfortunately passed away in 2011, age 84, and in this box are his guns. Peter John Kingsley-Heath was commissioned to the Welsh Guards at 18, and towards the end of the Second World War, when he was a serving captain, was injured by a bullet in France and was wounded by a landmine in Palestine. After the war, he returned to study history and law at Trinity College, Cambridge, and economics at London University. Kingsley-Heath was appointed a Colonial Service District Officer in Tanganyika, and then, in 1941, to East African High Commission in Kenya. In this capacity, he travelled around Africa and became an honorary game warden. Peter John Kingsley-Heath served in the Second World War and was injured by a bullet in France and wounded by a landmine in Palestine. After the war, he studied history, law and economics before embarking off to Africa. Kingsley-Heath became a director of Kerr and Downey safaris and managed all of their work in Bechuanaland and Mozambique. Across the course of his career, he had many close encounters with the Big Five. On one occasion, after shooting an elephant, had to hide on top of it to evade a charging rhino. On another occasion, Kingsley-Heath had to wrestle a wounded lion off of himself and ended up with a broken right arm. All I know is any man brave enough to punch a lion in the face in a fist fight has deserved my respect. Anyway, let's go on with the guns. So as you saw, it has a large twin leather case complete with turn screws and has been retrofitted with these very large brass corners. So we're very careful with these guns on those. Starting with number one gun, although they are fairly similar, apart from the fact that they are numbered in gold on the top lever and barrel. Starting at the back, they have a hard silvers pad. These are a fairly recent addition by the look of it. They have oil finished, beautifully figured stocks, and the wood is indeed book matched. They're fitted with gold ovals that are unengraved, very tight 32 line per inch checkering, and beautifully rose and scroll engraved actions. The number two gun, as is fairly common, is in slightly better condition with a little bit more colour hardening than this number one gun. And in banners on the side we have William Evans from Purdy of London. It was fairly common back in the day when starting out on one's own career to sort of state where you came from. Nobody knew who William Evans was until he stated that he used to work for Purdy's, and that's kind of the thing. This number two gun does have a small inlet of wood on the side of the action there, but apart from that, it does remain in slightly better condition than these. You have that little third bite at the top there that just beautifully dolls heads itself into the action. And all these guns just are absolutely stunning. In fact, I tell a lie, it's not engraved in gold, inlet in gold, but it is engraved 1 and 2 on the fore-end irons. Number 2 there, and it really is just lovely. The barrels are 28-inch nitro proved, but only run 2.5-inch chambers, where these are slightly earlier guns. Inlaid gold safe on the top there with beautiful low profile safeties. Most interestingly, these are single trigger guns and pair of box-lock single trigger guns. And as I said, they have been reblacked across the course of their life, but they really remain in beautiful condition. One of my favourite little additions to this gun is that absolutely beautiful beaded bordering, and all that little border work there just makes this thing very, very nice quality. With all of this history, these two cracking little guns, because they're really only a 2.5-inch chain, with all of this history, these cracking little guns are only 3 to 5 grand in Holts' auction, which actually I think represents great value for money. If you look at the case alone, these things fetch like nearly £1,000 plus by themselves, let alone the fact you get a matched pair of single trigger guns. Choking wise, they are a little bit open by modern fashions. One is an improved cylinder and quarter, and the other is true cylinder and quarter, which is not the end of the world, but again, you're not really buying these guns to go and shoot high birds, are you? They are just awesome. John Kingsley-Heath decided to leave Africa in 1978 and came back to England. He remained a passionate countryman and fought for farming and conservation in the UK, as well as back in Africa. However, like with most people in Africa, he was called back to go, and in 1992 was appointed Chief Park Warden of the Queen Elizabeth National Park in Uganda, and later the Assistant Director of National Parks. This man was clearly a true hunter and a true conservationist, and like many of the people of his day, paved the way for the modern way that conservation works in Africa, conservation through hunting. Even in his later years, he led photographic safaris in Africa, and man, just to have one shred of this man's life here is unbelievable. It's clearly had a real lust for life and self-admitted that he made his utmost effort to make it a fun-filled and adventurous life. Man, if you can't buy into that story and these guns, you need to grow yourself an imagination. That's all I can say, because wow, what a piece of history. A World War II veteran, an Africa veteran, a old African PH, one of the last African true PHs from the golden era of Africa. How can you not smile at these guns and their story? Thank you very much for Holts for giving me the opportunity to touch and handle them, because that's a proper rarity. It's been brilliant. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, goodbye, and I'll see you next time.